The capitalist mode of production is characterized by a range of features. Free markets and private ownership of the means of production being the main ones. Central to capitalism is the profit motive, the incentivization of greed, amorality, and selfishness. It represents not simply the normalization of these detestable things, which it most certainly does, but also their vigorous encouragement. The capitalist profit motive turns just about everything into an opportunity for profit. Every good in this world and every evil is something to exploit for one's own sake. Everything is commodified. The most interesting and useful part of everything becomes its potential for exploitation. The whole world is reduced down to that, a commodity for exploitation and profit. A simple means to an end, only worthy of consideration insofar as it can create profit. There is an inherent inhumanity to the profit motive. It has no time for the plurality of emotions, desires, and ideas that drive us. To the profit motive only one of them matters, and that is the insatiable and amoral desire for wealth. Everything is a means towards a single desire, an irrational obsession that is propagated and privileged by a system. An artificial rationality constructed to give some validity to a desire that otherwise has none. The artificial construct makes friends enemies. A person to love and care for becomes a person to oppress and exploit. It drives all into a war against all. It makes all that is loved and hated into nothing but a chance for profit. It gives an incentivization to much that we label immoral and depraved. It stomps on reciprocity and encourages disorder and conflict. Capitalism quite likes to expand. A society that has been completely consumed by capitalism is a society that consists solely of commodities. Every object, every organism is something to drain of value. Even things which are not physical, feelings, time, beauty. These things similarly exist simply to be drained of every drop of value. The profit motive is a doctrine of selfish and amoral depravity, but it is so much more. It is a force which steals the character of the world. All of its goodness becomes nothing but a reservoir of potential profit. Our perception of the world is corrupted and goodness corroded. You may be inclined to call my criticism too cruel. Capitalism does not reflect this in real life, you may say. What I speak of here is not reflected in its fullest sense, although it is reflected greatly. The logical conclusion of capitalism is the total consumption of the human race by the profit motive, the commodification of everything. The logical conclusion of capitalism is complete and endless amorality and selfishness, a greed-filled existence devoid of any meaning beyond the pursuit of wealth. Still, we defiantly resist the inhumanity of the system. Doing so is what makes us human. The profit motive is in many ways a massively detestable and inhuman thing. At its core, it represents complete amorality, selfishness, and greed. It encourages these things, and attempts to privilege those who are consumed by them. Things which we typically view as immoral when they appear on their own. Things which we quite rightly often label immoral. With the profit motive, however, these evils are so easily transformed into admirable signs of an ambitious individual. The great question is whether or not this inhumanity ought to be embraced, tolerated, resisted, restricted, limited, controlled, reformed, or abolished. Criticizing the profit motive is an effortless task. The difficulty is in discovering if there is something that can be done and something that ought to be done. This is a great question that we must consider. Are there good parts of the profit motive that I am ignoring? Is my criticism unfair? Is the profit motive just a necessary evil? Is the profit motive inescapable, doomed to materialize in any society? I will leave you to decide. All I can say is that the profit motive has a strong degree of inherent evil. We must ask what can be done and what should be done. That is a question for another day.